Welcome everyone to the Smart Growth in CNY Conference. This is our first year putting together this conference. I'm Baxter Hankin, president of the Syracuse Urbanism Collective, and excited to welcome you all here today for a really great set of panels. Today's program, we started with our catered breakfast and networking. Right now, we're starting the opening remarks. Then we have our a tentative guest speaker who's a local public official. And after that, we have our four panels with a lunch break in the middle where you'll all have an opportunity to visit the shops that are around the perimeter of this space. Then we have our closing remarks, which include breakout sessions into small groups to discuss the takeaways from the event. And then we'll have a happy hour at Kitty Hoynes afterwards. So the goals of this conference, it's very mission-driven event. We recognize that Central New York is on the cusp of growth and change, and we want to plan for the kind of growth we want to see. So first we have to define our goals, and we have to use those goals to plan for the future and restructure systems and processes. And we have to do all of this before larger changes occur so that when more growth happens, we're ready to capture it in a way that benefits all of us and our communities across the region. And at this conference, we can come together with our immediate neighbors and those from across the region to build a more equitable, resilient, and thriving future. So today can be an opportunity to generate ideas, to begin collaborations and kickstart positive change. And we encourage everyone to use the ideas that come out of today's event in your own work and your advocacy. And the reason we decided to host this event with the title Smart Growth in CNY is that growth is on its way. Times are changing in Central New York. We have various factors driving current or future growth, things like Micron and other economic changes. We have climate change. We have large infrastructure projects like the I-81 Viaduct project, and we have the city of Syracuse and other places in our region growing for the first time in many decades. And during the many decades of population stagnation in Onondaga County and Syracuse, we've seen an expansion of the amount of land area that we've used, even as we haven't been growing in terms of population. And that increase in land area will only accelerate as our population begins to really truly grow. And if we want to shape how the communities in our region are structured, and if we want to protect our natural and rural lands as well, then now is the time to act, because it's things like this that are really hard to reverse if we don't plan for them today. The conference is centered around ideas of urbanism as a way to address a lot of the issues that our region faces. And that poses the question, what is urbanism? When people think of the word urban, they often think of big cities like New York City. But urbanism means many things. Urbanism can be big cities. It can be small villages. It can be towns. It can be neighborhoods. It can be the preservation of rural lands and communities that are urban. The quality that they all share is they're compact, they're oriented around communities and people rather than just vehicles. They are walkable, and beyond those system level considerations, urbanism at the smaller scale, it's about how people move from place to place. It's about where people gather. It's about creating a sense of community in places and events and building culture and housing and development, and all sorts of issues that we're going to discuss in today's panels. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for today's event. We couldn't have done it without any of them. I'm going to start with IEEE. IEEE is a professional engineering organization. They've been the largest sponsor for our event. There's a thing I'm supposed to read. I don't have it pulled up here. So if you want to learn more about IEEE, they have a table at the back of the room where you can learn all the things that I don't have the notes in front of me. So next, we have SWBR. They're a design firm based in upstate New York. They've done some great urbanist design projects, such as the Albany Riverfront Study, which won a few years ago an award from Congress for the new urbanism. They've also done other great urban projects, such as Union Square. We've got QPK Design as well as a sponsor. QPK has done fantastic urban projects, such as the upcoming revitalization of Hanover Square. They're also working on the Tech Garden, which is under construction now, just a few blocks away from here. We've got EDR, which one exciting project that they're doing right now is they're working with the city of Syracuse on Vision Zero, which is they're working with the city on Vision Zero, which is a program to implement changes, both policy and infrastructure changes to eliminate traffic deaths within the city limits. A number of other cities have implemented Vision Zero successfully and have eliminated traffic deaths in their cities for pedestrians, cyclists, transit users, people in cars, and any other traffic fatalities for a number of years in a row. So it's an exciting project to see our city and EDR working on together. I'd also like to thank our caterers for today, Skeleton Bee Coffee and Bagels. If you like today's food, today's breakfast, the beverages, and the lunch we have later, see Skeleton Bee Coffee and Bagels for all your catering needs. Armory 5 has helped us with IT and internet for today's event. And Washington Street Partners, the owner of this building, has also supported us for this event. So now I'm going to turn it over to Michael John Haggerty to talk a little bit about the McCarthy Mercantile.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. Round of applause for all those sponsors. We really couldn't have made this happen without them. The small team before you and a few friends put this entire conference together, and I'd like to, draw attention to the fact that this is the first conference we've ever attempted hosting. So it's really nice to see a lot of faces in the crowd and different perspectives in the seats. For those of you who don't know, the McCarthy Mercantile is the most Syracuse thing ever. It's an underground indoor shopping experience. I don't like the word mall or basement. So it's a lower level shopping experience. Each of the shops and services around the outer rim behind us are actually first-time independent business owners. So Wildflowers Armory is the store that I founded upstairs. It sells handmade artisan goods from the region, and it's like an eternal pop-up shop. Every 3 months, new artists come in, and so out of it grew the idea of translating this space. I wish I could bring up a slide of what it used to look like, but I will tell you a funny little anecdote to start the day off. When we first came down here, I was trying to convince the developer and owner of the building of the vision of gutting this space and turning it into kind of like a hub for, you know, small businesses and creativity. And a giant owl with a 6-foot wingspan flew at us. So we had to kind of reach out into the world and find these experts. And this sweet old couple came downstairs and made a few sounds, and the bird literally flew to them, landed on my man's arm, and he proceeded to carefully put it in a cage and bring it up into the wildlife refuge. And so in some capacity, we were even an urban dwelling for owls in the beginning. But anyways, when we started this project, it was during the pandemic, so we were able to kind of have an advantage and have 1 or 2 people social distance working on the space. Mac Brothers fabricated the beautiful staircase, and off we went. We've been open for about 3 years, and the Mercantile is completely full with 15 businesses. Later today, many of these businesses will be open, and when we break out for lunch, you can check out the jeweler and the vintage clothing and meet some of these entrepreneurs firsthand. Thanks for coming down, and I appreciate you. If you want to check out McCarthyMercantile.com, we have all kinds of special events and pop-ups through the holiday season. Thank you.
Hello, I am Nicole Watts. I am with Hope Print. I got to be a part of putting this together with this fine team up here as well. Hope Print is a nonprofit organization that was started here in Syracuse in 2010, and we have been on a wild ride ever since. We spent our first decade working predominantly in the human services sector with resettled refugees and new Americans. But myself living on the north side community, as well as a number of our team and our neighbors, we realized that there was a really significant need to enter into this space where people and place come together. And so we reconfigured our organization through the pandemic season to become a couple of different things. One is we set ourselves up as an association that has members and partners where we can basically serve as the back office for people who are looking to bring their passion projects to life that have to do with equity and justice, equitable community development, and the like. And one of those key projects is the West Pond Alliance, which is focused on a micro neighborhood of the north side where we work to do that work, where people in place come together. We are sitting duck for gentrification, and so we really are passionate about that being done with justice and responsibility that does not displace the people that currently call that community home. So this conversation is very important to myself and to my team, so we're glad to be a part of it.
And now I'm going to speak a little bit about the Syracuse Urbanism Collective. We are the organization that is hosting this conference here today. The Syracuse Urbanism Collective strives to build access to human-centered, walkable, vibrant communities and spaces for all. And our goal is to enhance the urbanism of Syracuse through physical installations and programming in public space, as well as advocacy on policy and design. We have monthly meetings in this space here, the McCarthy Mercantile, last Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. Anyone is welcome to join or show up to a meeting, and you can learn more at syracuseurbanism.org.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kevin Race. I'm the volunteer coordinator for the Urbanism Collective, and I'm one of the co-leads for the Mini Meadows project, along with my friend Kenesha Miller. And this project started just in the past year. About a year ago, I went to the Outer Comstock Art and Garden Walk, and there I found a woman named Janice Wiles, and she does lawn to meadow conversions as a business. And there was a house there. The couple was kind of older, and they were sick of mowing their grass every week. So they worked with Janice to remove all the grass and reseed a meadow with several dozen native perennial species. And I just thought, at the time, I have a house in Westcott, and I had a corded weed whacker, and I had to connect it to 2 extension cords in order to get out to the curb. And that was tiring, but also I was really intrigued about all the ecological benefits. And as we kind of started asking around and saying, why can't we do this around the city? We just ran into so many people who are invested in this space, people with 30 years of gardening experience, professors from Lemoyne and ESF, and really we just discovered there's just so many benefits to foregoing your lawn and converting that grass space into native pollinator habitat, meadowscapes. Just in my yard in the last few years, I've managed to get probably a couple dozen native species of coneflower, asters, goldenrods, and just the differences I've noticed sitting on my porch. There's so much life. Birds are attracted to all the seeds, and crickets, and fireflies. It's amazing. And not only that, it just beautifies everything. And walking down a street, so many of our blocks in Syracuse are just grass, no landscaping. And then you sometimes can experience, like in Westcott, there's a lot of my neighbors have these meadowscapes, and just the feel of being on the street surrounded by wildlife and nature and flowers. It just really makes you more comfortable and kind of makes your days more fulfilled. So we were lucky enough last year, we secured a $2,000 grant through the Syracuse Parks Conservancy. And as a group, we kind of settled on a site, Logan Park. It's on the east side of Syracuse, kind of at the confluence of a few different neighborhoods, Westcott, the East Fayette area, the Near East Side, and we were able to purchase over 300 native plants from that woman, Janice Wiles, and we established 3 pollinator gardens in a park that really didn't have many flowers at all. And it brought together so many different people from all walks of life, all ages, all backgrounds, people like me who really didn't have any experience gardening. People have been gardening for their whole lives. So it's been a great project. We're looking forward to seeing these gardens grow in next year, maintaining them, and then hopefully expanding to some new locations.
Hi, everyone. I'm Javier Zavaleta. I'm up here because I'm the project manager for the Onondaga Creek Walk Wayfinding Project. In short, it is going to be an implementation of 270 stencils along both phases of the creek walk. Part of this was started because at a Urbanism Club meeting, we kind of sat around and realized this is a very quick, simple fix that we want to try to implement, and we can make a community event out of it, and is emblematic of the sort of projects that the Syracuse Urbanism Club enables. So I have a little prop with me. These are some test prints that we put out. The plan so far is to do this implementation in concert with Parks in April, and it will also be a revival of Overpass Fest. So if you want to be a part of that implementation, come to our club meetings or just follow our Instagram. We'll love to have you. The second that the weather feels great and the snow is gone, we'll be out there and make our community better one step at a time. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, great. My name is Janelle Nixon. I am the Vice President of the Syracuse Urbanism Collective. And, sorry, I didn't start my timer. On paper, I am probably the least likely urbanist out of all of us because I'm not an architect. I don't work for local government or anything like that. I'm actually a professor of gender and media at Syracuse University. And my classes typically focus on Gothic literature and Gothic horror films. However, I also teach intro classes. And in my intro classes, I like to have group work of imagined futures. And during these group work sessions, the students imagine futures where there are no barriers, where there is full equality and absolute accessibility for everyone, and really create some fantastic ideas of what our world could be like. And that is basically what we're all doing here today, right? We are imagining what our beautiful city of Syracuse could be like. I am a transplant to Syracuse. However, this is my home. I love the city. I bought a home here in the South Valley almost 2 years ago to the day. And I want the best for Syracuse. So my particular project is the Swag Bike Fest. My imagined future is one where everybody feels comfortable in the cycling community, and everybody gets out and cycles as much as they want to. So bike communities are typically incredibly inclusive. However, people may not know that looking at them, because if you show up to cycling events or go to most bike shops, they're typically male dominated and they're typically mostly white. So no matter how inclusive they may be, that's a barrier to people entering the cycling community if they want to feel comfortable and welcomed and they don't know anybody. So this festival isn't to replace anything that's already established. It's actually to bridge the gap and bring more people into our thriving cycling community. So whenever I teach things that require empathy and actually caring about other people in the community, I like to include a selfish reason for people who may not be that empathetic and may not care. And one really good selfish reason to care about things like the Swag Bike Fest and incorporating more people into our cycling community is the more people we have actively cycling, the more likely we are to quickly get things like protected bike lanes, more cycling infrastructure. So we definitely want that. And we want more cycling events, right? So if you are interested in volunteering for the Swag Bike Fest, let me know. We had our first annual one last June, and we will have the 2025 one. Again, it will be even bigger and better. It was incredible. There's a picture of some of us. There were more people there, but that's some of us in front of the Centro bus. I know a panelist is from Centro here today. Centro was awesome. They provided a bus for the entire festival, and we got to practice loading and unloading our bikes, which most of us, even though we were lifelong cyclists, had never done before. It's so easy. It is so easy. So we definitely plan to have that again this year, but even bigger and better things. And I always like to leave people with much more than they expected after an event. So last year we focused on safety gear. So people got really good bike lights, reflective gear, bells, and it will be even bigger and better this year. So once again, I have stickers that have this amazing logo that was created by a local artist. Her mom will be here at some point today. I don't think she's here right now, but the artist who created that is still in high school, and I'm so proud of her. And her signature is there, Gabby Nikolovsky. But yes, you can pick up stickers, and they have the dedicated email address for the Bike Fest, and I am officially out of time.
Thank you, everyone. One last project that we've been working on that we're going to talk about during these open remarks is the I-81 Viaduct project recommendations. So as the Syracuse Urbanism Collective, we put together a series of design changes and other recommendations to the New York State Department of Transportation's designs for the I-81 Viaduct project. And these aren't big changes. These are small changes that don't disrupt the progress of the overall project, but make a big difference to pedestrians, cyclists, transit users, and really everyone. And we've been working with both the city and the State Department of Transportation and trying to get these recommendations implemented. We've had letter writing campaigns with many community members. We've had other organizations and individuals sign on to our recommendations. And I have a few examples up here on the screen of some of our recommendations. We have many more than these. But the image in your top left shows a couple of intersections where we propose additional pedestrian and cyclist crossings where the early concept designs from the state DOT did not show them along the reconstructed Almond Street. And in your bottom right, we see an additional street crossing that we've proposed that the state add across West Street between Park Ave and a new extension of the Creek Walk that the state is proposing. And we have many more than these. If you want to learn more about our project recommendations or send a letter of support to the state DOT, visit our website, syracuseurbanism.org, go to the projects tab and click on I-81 Viaduct project recommendations. One last project here. This is brand new. We haven't started this yet. We are about to start a new urbanist book club. We're going to be collectively selecting books together and reading and discussing books relevant to urbanism. A lot of people in the Syracuse Urbanism Collective want to learn more about urbanism, whether they're beginners to the topic, whether they're really knowledgeable about the subject. There's always more to learn, especially from discussions with our peers. Even if you don't go to the Urbanism Collective meetings or you're not involved with any other projects, we strongly encourage you to join the Urbanist Book Club. If you go to our website and you fill out the form on the Join tab of the website, you'll get all the updates about this project and other projects and how to get involved. So before we conclude the opening remarks, a few housekeeping items. First is if you want to learn more about the panelists and moderators who are going to be speaking today and other items of today's program. In your folders, in the bags you received, there's a flyer, and at the bottom of that flyer there is a QR code. If you scan the QR code, you'll get a much lengthier and full-color version of our program. Now I'll turn it over to Michael John.
How about those swag bags, everybody? Pretty good, huh? We were pretty happy with the zipper on top and the extra pockets and everything. We hope to see these things floating all over town now because it's going to also be free advertising for the Urbanism Collective. But just a few housekeeping things. In the back hallway behind the barbershop are the bathrooms. There's also some bathrooms upstairs if needed on the ground level. They're all accessible and gender neutral. The hydration station at the foot of the staircase will be there all day, so drink water, coffee, orange juice as much as you like. Christian has done a really good job with catering today. We have a beautiful lunch coming, but we paid for the food, so eat it. If you feel like having 3 breakfast sandwiches, go for it, you know? Feed your soul, feed your stomach, and then feed your curiosity throughout the day today as we proceed with the conference. And as the day rolls, shops will unlock and begin to open. Feel free to take breaks in between sets and interact. And thank you all for coming. And let's really make some moves here today. Appreciate you.
Thank you. And that concludes the opening remarks. And before we have our first panel, we have our post-opening remarks. We have a guest speaker who's going to talk for a few minutes here. I'd like to introduce Mayor Ben Walsh.
Morning, everyone. Nice to see you all. Baxter, thank you for having me. Really thrilled to see such a great turnout here, and just wanted to share a few updates, hopefully most of which you're aware of, things that we've been doing to advance our sustainability goals and ultimately to develop a more vibrant, equitable, dynamic city of Syracuse. A few different categories, and I want to give a shout out. I see some of my colleagues here, Owen Kearney, who's our Deputy Commissioner of Planning and Sustainability, Josh Wilcox there from Parks. They all on the team and you all are really the drivers of the work that we do. And they are also the subject matter experts. So please feel free to follow up with questions, comments, concerns with them and pass along any ideas you have. A few things I wanted to highlight, broken up into a couple different categories. One, I want to talk about transportation, which I know is near and dear to many of your hearts. We've made some significant investments in more equitable transportation systems. Probably among the most significant, our municipal sidewalk program. For many years, our sidewalks were technically the responsibility of property owners, and we all see what the result of that policy was. The program was literally and figuratively broken. And so in partnership with the Common Council, we were able to establish a municipal sidewalk program and take back responsibility for those sidewalks and are making significant investments with a relatively nominal fee that every property owner pays to build out our pedestrian infrastructure. I think we're hoping, I don't remember the exact numbers, but we're hoping to do somewhere in the range of 15 miles or so of new sidewalks just this year. And grow that each year, and hopefully you see that throughout the city. We are trying to be data-driven in how we do that, looking at routes that are most highly utilized by pedestrians, focusing on other priorities like routes to schools, and again, really proud of that work. We have tried to keep in mind as we develop our transportation policy a really significant and stark fact, which is that a quarter of our population in the city of Syracuse don't have access to a private vehicle. Now that would be okay if our transportation infrastructure supported that, and also frankly that if it was the choice of those individuals. But for many, it's an economic reality that they are faced with. And so again, we need to be equitable in how we invest in our transportation. Sidewalks are a big part of it. Public transportation, of course, also a really important part. Centro is a close partner and ally to us. We have been passionately advocating for and pushing for a bus rapid transit system, which Centro is advancing. The last update that we received was that we could have that in place by 2026. So we'll circle back with Centro and see where they are on that. But anybody from Centro here? I'm not going to put you on the spot, but just want to know. Okay. 2027. Okay. Well, as things tend to go with government and public authorities. But anyways, they're committed to it. It's the funding is in place and they're moving it forward. So that's great. And another important piece is filling the transportation gaps, and that's where our VO rideshare or our VO scooter and bike program comes into play. I was just on filming for Newsmakers yesterday, and that came up as a question. What are we doing about the scooters that are left on the side of the road? And we get complaints, and I acknowledge that it's a challenge, as it is with any similar system like that. That VO has a responsibility to hold their users accountable, and we're pushing for them to do that. I also urge that people that are passionate about bikes being left, or scooters being left on sidewalks and in the road, bring that same amount of energy to all the ways in which people illegally and inappropriately park their cars. But the reality is, again, given the transportation needs of our community, what we are finding is that a lot of people are relying on VO for kind of that last mile transportation, getting people to work, getting people to school. So it's an important component of our overall transportation infrastructure, and one that we're again investing in. We also continue to pave a lot of roads. We work very closely, and I see John Sexton in front here, with New York State DOT on the 81 Community Grid Project, something we're very passionate about, and we have a great partner with New York State DOT. So lots being done on that transportation front, plenty more still need to be done. Climate resiliency, I know, is of interest, making a lot of investments in that area as well, not a lot of which are known. Back in, I think it was 2019, we had some significant rainfall and had flooding in areas where we had not seen the extent of that flooding, and so we have to make sure that we're adjusting for the impacts of climate change and making sure we're more resilient as those impacts become more frequent. Some exciting projects, at least to me, down in the valley. We're just finishing up a project where we've been dredging Cold Brook that travels through the valley to minimize the impacts of potential flooding there. Over in Elmwood Park with Furnace Brook, we're going to be starting a project next year to again do some dredging over there and try to improve resiliency there as well. And a number of other waterways where, again, we're trying to make sure that we're making the necessary investments to ensure that we don't have to deal with the increased impacts of rainfall in the form of flooding. A few other things I just wanted to note, and again, Owen can speak to many of these, and Josh. Our Urban Forest Master Plan is something that we're very passionate about, is in place, and hopefully you've noticed we're planting a lot more trees, again, in the spirit of climate resiliency. We just recently established a sustainability, what are we calling it, Owen, task force or group or whatever it is. Owen's division in neighborhood and business development, sustainability, planning and sustainability, is a new division, and we have Owen in place and Karina, his colleague, but we're trying to build our capacity in that area, and we have a lot of passionate city employees when it comes to sustainability, so we've assembled them and deployed them in the form of this kind of advisory group to help us advance some of our initiatives. Another area that I want to talk about is streetlights. We've talked a lot about our smart streetlight network, and oftentimes within the context of being a smart city. But the really important part of that from a climate resiliency standpoint is that we converted nearly 18,000 streetlights, all of our streetlights, to LED lights, and in doing so have significant improvements in energy efficiency, which is both obviously financially beneficial as well as environmentally beneficial. So, investing in a lot of fronts. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the significance of our new citywide zoning code, which isn't perfect by any stretch, but is certainly better than the one that was passed 50 or 60 years before. The 1960s was the last time we had uniformly adopted a new zoning code, and so that was the result of a lot of work. Probably many people in this room participated in that process. Among many other things, we designated open space aspects of within the city in certain areas. But now that we've done that, I think we're in a much better position to continue to adapt our zoning code, again, to make sure that we're getting really good, high-quality outcomes in terms of development. And again, I think we've come a long way in that regard, and being much more prescriptive in how and where people are developing, and the quality of the architecture and the design, but still plenty more to do there. So I think we're in a position now where we can consistently go back to the zoning code and make modifications as needed and as advised by the community, including many of you. So I just wanted to give you kind of a snapshot of some of the things that we're working on that are hopefully advancing the work that you all are doing in this room and hope to do. And again, very, very much appreciate all the work that you all do. Really appreciate the energy that Baxter and this group has brought to this topic. And I want you to know, for as long as I'm in my position in City Hall, which is just about a year, you will have a ready and willing partner that's not only willing to continue moving forward all the things that we've discussed, but really be proactive and take on new initiatives, again, based on the input from the community. So thank you all for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day. Best of luck to you. Thank you for having me.